of Sonny Red's body in too shallow a grave. Only 19 days after the triple murders, his corpse unexpectedly reappeared as two children came across the body.
But it was Joey's responsibility to get rid of Sonny Red. Well, there was a screw-up on Joey Massino's part, sure.
3 weeks after the killings, Sonny Red's body is out of the ground. There's real hard evidence that the murders went down.
It did not take long for the police to figure out whose body it was. Sonny Red's autopsy revealed that he had been shot 3 times by 2 different shooters, and the single shot above his left ear was the clear signature of a mob execution. Sonny Red's bloated corpse supported the information that Pistone was getting from his captain. But the bodies of the 2 other mobsters were still nowhere to be found.
Joe Pistone has gotten tape-recorded evidence talking about the murders and the cleanup. But still, they're nowhere near coming up with the inside story of who was involved, who did it, and how they pulled it off.
Pistone discovered from Black that he had originally been considered to be in on the triple murders, but Massino turned down the idea.
He said, I wanted to bring you on the hit. He said, because I'm going to propose you for membership, and it would have looked good with all the other captains. He said, but Joey Massino nixed it.
Since this was the critical moment in Massino's grab for power, he wanted only his most trusted allies at the scene. Instead, after the triple murders, Pistone was asked to kill a 4th mafia member, Bruno, the son of one of the murdered mobsters.
I'm giving you a contract on Bruno. Why don't you look for him, kill him.
This was a major coup for Pistone and the FBI. No agent had ever gotten this close to becoming a true soldier in the mob. FBI agents aren't supposed to commit murder. So an elaborate plan was hatched. Agents would grab Bruno, fake the murder, and then put the intended victim into hiding. But while they were searching for the mobster's son, Pistone's FBI handlers were getting increasingly concerned over their agent's safety, fearing a new wave of violence following the triple murders.
They don't tell you they're going to whack you. It just happens.
They were afraid that Pistone was now a target because of his affiliation with Black and Massino.
It's a dicey situation when you're in this type of undercover operation, because your first thought is you got to preserve yourself. You know, you got to worry about your own security, because nobody else is gonna. In a situation where it's me or the other guy, it's going to be the other guy. At this time, because there's a war going on, everybody's carrying a gun, you know, all the wise guys, the FBI decides to shut the operation down. So I talked to the supervisor and also my good friend, you know, come on, let this thing go till I get made, you know. And he says, no way. He says, I'm not letting this thing go till you get made, because if you get whacked, then it's on me, you know.
Pistone's handlers were worried about a backlash of violence, but he was able to convince them to let him stay despite the risks.
So, you know, from May, June, July, you know, we're just doing what we're doing, looking for Bruno to whack him, and, you know, continuing the gambling operations, continuing, we had a little drug trade going on, continuing all the illegal activities we were involved in.
But still, no one could find the man they wanted to pretend to kill. And with so many elements unresolved, the FBI felt that the level of danger was now simply too high for Pistone. So on July 26, 1981, just over 2 months after the May hits, the FBI stopped the operation. But they still hadn't found the 2 missing victims of the triple murder or a link to Massino. Joe Pistone's 5 years undercover were over. He had stayed in longer than any other FBI agent before him. 2 days later, the FBI visited the man who had been closest to Pistone.
The day that the FBI knocked on the door and told him, you know that guy Donnie Brasco who was hanging out with you? Well, he's not a wise guy. He's an FBI agent. Sonny Black was devastated. Minutes later, the FBI saw him up on the roof talking to his pigeons.
And his choice was to stay and face the consequences.
Sonny Black was killed soon after the truth about his friend came out.
Sonny Black made a choice that he was not going to roll, he was not going to flip, he was not going to become a turncoat. He hoped he would be able to talk the Bonanno family out of whacking him. He failed in that endeavor. You know, he was killed. About a year later, his body was found in a swamp in Staten Island.
The reason they went to him because we knew that chances are he was going to get killed, so Bureau would protect him and save his life if he would agree to become an informant.
His corpse was found with both hands severed. The message from the Mafia was clear. Shaking hands with and vouching for an FBI agent would get you killed. His friend's decision still resonates with Pistone after all these years.
He proved to me that he was a stone gangster by knowing that he was going to get killed and going to this sit-down and getting killed. I mean, to me, it says a lot about Sonny as a person, you know, when you know the world, you know their world.
The triple murders of 1981 still baffle the FBI 20 years after the fact, even as the dig for the bodies in the gangland graveyard continued. At the time of the murders, mobster Joe Massino was on his way to the top of the Bonanno crime family. But there was a problem. The FBI's undercover work had left the Mafia family in disarray.
The penetration of the Bonanno family by Joe Pistone as Donnie Brasco was a disgrace for the Bonannos. The other four families tended to look down on them because they allowed themselves to be hoodwinked by the government.
And to make matters worse, Pistone began testifying about all of the criminal activities he had uncovered. Indictments and convictions on racketeering, extortion, loan sharking, illegal gambling, and murder came rolling in. With the help of Pistone's testimony, the FBI was able to indict Massino on charges that included the triple murders. He was convicted on racketeering charges and sentenced to 10 years in prison. But to everyone's surprise, Massino was acquitted of the murder charges.
Well, the first trial that had Joey on, he skated on it. I don't know why the jury didn't convict him. I mean, you know, why didn't the jury convict O.J. Simpson? You know, why didn't they convict this singer, you know, Michael Jackson? Who knows what goes through a jury's mind?
Still, Massino was in jail, and his family was reeling in the aftermath of the infiltration by the undercover agent, Joe Pistone. The FBI wasn't taking them seriously anymore, and only a small group of agents within the FBI kept an eye on them. One of that group was Special Agent Jack Stubing.
The Bonannos began to lose steam within the organized crime community. The fact that they were not respected by the other four families allowed law enforcement to redirect some of its resources to address the crime problem that was posed by the other four families. And that allowed the Bonannos to thrive like cockroaches in the dark.
The lack of attention would soon prove costly. With neither the FBI nor the Mafia paying the Bonannos much attention, Massino was quietly consolidating his power from prison. He was freed in 1992 and immediately assumed leadership of the family. 11 years after he made his move for power and eliminated his three main rivals, he he was finally in control. The new Bonanno boss ran the family from a restaurant near his home.
We're in Maspeth, Queens, Joe Massino country, here at the Casablanca. His pride and joy and the base of operations during the mid-1990s after he took control of the Bonanno crime family. And it became not only his base of operations for mob stuff, but also where he hung out. It was the kind of place that he enjoyed. It was his pride and joy. All of his top gangsters were required to come and patronize his establishment.
The family was riding high. Money was pouring in. And Massino was sitting pretty. But he was very careful about how he conducted business.
Massino was very surveillance conscious. The fact that Joe Pistone infiltrated the Bonanno crime family and came close to bringing him down certainly was in the back of Joe Massino's mind.
Jack Stubing realized that the FBI needed to do something different. In an extraordinary first step, he introduced himself to Massino.
Well, in 1995, I went to visit Massino and I had a conversation with him. We played a little game. I pretended that he was no longer involved in organized crime, and he pretended that he believed that I believed that. And what I found out about Massino as a result of that conversation was that he was a real student of FBI investigative techniques. He mentioned surveillances, he talked about the descriptions of cars we were using, he even remembered partial license plates, and some of these surveillances had taken place years before our conversation, and I was on some of those surveillances, so I knew he knew what he was talking about. And it convinced me that the methods that we had used were not necessarily going to be successful against Massino.
Stubing realized that to break Massino, the FBI would have to come up with a new way to get him.
You may intimidate witnesses, or maybe you can kill informants, but organized crime exists for the purpose of making money through illegal means. That money's got to come into the organization and it's got to flow back out, and that's going to leave footprints somewhere in the financial system.
Stubing wanted to find the proceeds of crime. He believed that old financial records held critical evidence that should lead them back to Massino.
I knew that the only way that we were going to be able to do that kind of a financial investigation is to get accountants that were well-versed in those techniques, and specifically forensic accountants, people that could dig through these financial records and look for evidence of a crime.
In 1999, Stubing finally got his wish. 2 new, recently graduated FBI agents were assigned to the case. Both were accountants.
I remember the first time I saw Jeff go through a box of documents, and he would just pull out documents and randomly say, oh, this is evidence of structuring, this is evidence of this is evidence of that. And he was like a kid in a candy store. He instantly recognized things for what they were.
Forensic accounting makes use of financial records much in the same way as forensic anthropology makes use of bones. Applied to the mob, forensic accounting could uncover evidence of past crimes like fraud, money laundering, and extortion. The United States prosecutor helped the team subpoena records.
There were boxes and boxes and boxes of documents. You know, you'd get computer printouts and old checks and bank statements and credit card statements and back tax records. And each new round of subpoenaed documents would generate another round of subpoenas.
The FBI estimated that they ultimately brought in tens of thousands of documents. Nearly 2 years into the investigation, agents got their first big break.